Dort for the win. It's good! Poku takes flight as SGA plays through the contact, banks it in on the foul.
What is up, Thunder fans, and welcome to the Uncontested Post-Game Podcast Edition. So excited to be back here for the 2022-2023 NBA season. I am your host for tonight, Tayler Peterson. Find me on Twitter at Tayler_P15. You can find us at the _uncontested. Be sure to give us a follow. The Thunder quote unquote, drop their second preseason game to the Dallas Mavericks, 98-96. But before we go any further, we are a proud part of Blue Wire Podcast Network and a proud partner of DailyThunder.com. If you don't already, be sure to subscribe wherever you get your podcasts and leave us a 5-star rating. Has some really cool stickers that just came in. We had the Hollow stickers last season. We had some really cool, just kind of standard logo stickers this season. So be sure to, I was going to wait to intro the man, the myth, the legend, the leader of the Uncontested, Jacob Niffen. But if you guys are looking at the live stream right now, Jacob just flashed some awesome, I probably shouldn't have used that term, flashed some awesome stickers.
I'm not flashing other things on the live stream. They're just stickers, folks.
I mean, it depends how excited he gets, how Poku looks, etc., etc. Nonetheless, like I said, I'm very thankful to be joined by Jacob Niffen here to break down the second preseason post game, or
you got it.
Second preseason game of the season. Gosh, that's a lot of seasons.
Justin says Jacob is on OnlyFans, flashing stuff.
Love it. Not our Justin. That's a different Justin. Now we have a lot to break down here, Jacob. It was another very fun preseason game that I think gave us a lot of content. But before we do that, some exciting news. First and foremost here, if I can get the overlay, we will be partnering with our good friends over at Daily Thunder. Like I mentioned at the top of the podcast, we'll be throwing a live watch party for the Thunder's away game versus the Denver Nuggets on October 22nd at Prairie Artisan Ales OKC Tap Room. We're really excited. We did this last season, but to be joined by our good friends over at Daily Thunder, as well as just all of you listeners who reached out, and we're super excited to be able to do this again. We're very thankful to be able to throw this event yet again. It's our second annual one, and to be joined by Daily Thunder, it's going to be great. We have some beer specials from Prairie Ale Works. We have some wings and fry specials from the new restaurant next door, Hot Chop Sticks, as well as some giveaways, some free stickers. Come hang, come and join us. It's going to be a lot of fun.
We'll also have any hats we have left over. We'll be at the watch party. We'll be selling hats at the watch party as well. It's going to be a blast.
If we have any left,
yeah,
they're flying off the shelves.
They are. If you want one, get in the DMs. But Saturday, October 22nd. Apologies. OU bye week. So if you're an OU fan, you don't have any excuse to miss. It's going to be a blast. We're going to pack that place out. Love to have you guys come hang with us. And then we will be doing a live post-game pod afterwards, breaking down the Thunder versus Denver second regular season game. So come hang with us.
Very excited. Cannot wait. Like I said, second annual for us, Jacob. So it'll be a lot of fun. I appreciate all of you who came out last year. Let's make it even better this year. And shout out to our friends over at Daily Thunder. So, Jacob, like I mentioned, the Thunder, quote unquote, lose to the Dallas Mavericks 98-96. I had some of my big takeaways here. Curious your thoughts. Obviously, we'll dive into them a little deeper here later in the post game. But Thunder want to play fast in transition, and I love seeing that from the very beginning. That leads me to my next Big point here, Josh Giddey as a point guard was the one who led that charge. I thought that was fantastic to see. I love seeing it. Cannot wait to see some of these other guys like Lou and SGA get in there with him. Ousmane Dieng. It wasn't J-Dub like it was the first preseason game. It was Ousmane Dieng, the rookie, who really shined in this preseason game. And I was excited to see that on both ends of the floor. Again, something that you've talked a lot about, Jacob, and you even alluded to here before the preseason. Poku starts over Baze, and honestly, he outperforms Baze yet again. And then David Nwaba, look, this isn't a huge point to use as my 5th point here, but I think it's worth mentioning. We'll get into it. David Nwaba gets real minutes again here in the 4th quarter of this preseason game, and he is the only player of that trade, the OKC Houston trade, to actually not only get minutes, but show up on the bench for the Thunder. So those were kind of my first initial thoughts, my big thoughts from the game. Obviously, a lot to break down here. Just kind of a step-by-step game summary. Starters for OKC tonight. Now, something to mention, Shea and Josh, I almost said Josh Giddey, goodness. Shea and Chet were both present. That was great to see. And obviously, Chet still getting some shots up on his, we'll call it a scooter, Jacob.
Mm-hmm. Shea working out pregame and at halftime and looked very comfortable. I had predicted he'll probably start game 1. I'm feeling better about that, seeing the way he moved out there.
Agree completely. I was thinking he maybe would be like a week or 2 weeks into the regular season, but your prediction is looking more and more correct. Especially,
I'm not feeling that way now.
Agreed. I'm with you completely. Starters: Giddey, Trey Mann, Poku, Jerry. Same as last game, except Aaron Wiggins gets a start instead of Kendrick Williams.
Yeah, not much to read there with Wiggins getting the start over K. Rich. I think they're just trying someone else out. Like, I don't think either of those guys will start. The bigger thing to me was Poku gets the 2nd consecutive start. That's 2 starts for Poku, 0 starts for Baze. That's 2 games where Poku has been the more efficient and, quite frankly, better player at that position than Darius Bazley. I had talked and thought about and hypothesized on this podcast, maybe Poku is starting in the front court next to JRE opening night. My confidence in that has gone up significantly.
And you're also looking smarter and smarter. I wasn't quite with you there. I didn't think you would. It wouldn't blow me away if it happened. When we talked about this about a week ago. But yeah, no, I'm with you, Jacob.
I'm almost to the point where I would be surprised if Poku does not start opening night.
Agreed. And hey, I want to dive deeper into that when we get a little further here in the podcast.
For sure.
Just really quick breakdown. Like I said, Thunder come out aggressive, but that was led none other than their point guard, with Shea being out of the game. It was Josh Giddey. In the first 8 minutes, Giddey has 10 points, 3 steals, which is interesting. We'll get into that a little later as well. 2 rebounds, and 5 of 8 shooting. Again, he didn't really shoot from outside because he was just being so aggressive. He was able to get to the rim at will. That's really exciting. I think we can break some of that down as well and hope to see that in the regular season. J-Dub runs point yet again as the main point guard in that second unit. Trey Mann got a little bit of time with him, but Trey Mann didn't get quite as much time this game just because, again, different lineups, first night of a back-to-back in the preseason, etc. J-Dub runs the second unit. A lot of pace early. That's one note I have here. Yeah, I just want to reiterate that, right?
For sure. And I think a lot of that was also due to Dallas turnovers. They gave out the rock like it was candy on Halloween night.
But, I think we have to give, and I don't even have this in my positives or negatives, so maybe we just briefly mention it here. That Thunder defense is swarming, and this is the second night, the second game that we've seen this, right? Like that. This is hopefully a continuation.
Whenever we get into your analysis, we can dive into that a little bit because there's some things I want to talk about defensively.
So, like I said, Thunder wanting to play fast. They're pushing the ball into transition constantly, and it's preseason. All the Thunder players are available thus far, but this is kind of the epitome of a positionless basketball. It's kind of what I thought about. Like after this first half, you have Jerry, Baze, Poku, Umarui, and There was others that played center. I mean, just really no quote unquote center, which I found really interesting. A lot of solid perimeter rotations on defense. Again, like we'll get into that. I thought the defense continued to look really impressive. Giddey led the led the charge in terms of aggressiveness. Like I mentioned, Oos looked really solid on both ends of the floor. I want to get into Oos, but then we had like a really kind of interesting five to start the second half. J-Dub, Kenrich Williams, Lindy Waters III, Poku, and Wiggins. And like I said, of note, J-Dub starting the point again, running the point for that second unit. Kenrich is in there as a veteran to help stabilize that quote unquote second unit, which I thought was important. And Poku looked really good in the third, Jacob. He looked really good.
I agree. Well, again, we'll dive into Poku here in a second.
Now, Nwaba was getting time in the fourth quarter. I thought that was important because he played the majority of the fourth quarter while some of these other players from the trade didn't. Again, they aren't even on the bench. Dieng got banged up a bit towards the end of the game. Really hope he's okay. We haven't heard anything yet, so I'm hoping it's something serious. And then I had a kind of funny tweet towards the end of the game, quote unquote funny. We have a tight one here as the OKC Blue trailed the Texas Legends 90-88, 2:56 to go. Jaden Hardy had 16 points in the fourth quarter because, like I said, it was essentially two G League teams playing against each other. So I think we can finally get into the good stuff, Jacob.
Let's dive into the meat here.
The meat
and potatoes, which is maybe what this game was filmed on tonight.
Yeah, no, oh my gosh, that stream was terrible. Like Nick said in our uncontested Slack that we have, our group text that we have, this made you miss Bally, which is really, really saying something.
Yeah, 100%.
Terrible.
100%.
So when we're going through post games, I always love to do positives and negatives. I think it's a fun way to break things down. But I'm a positive person, Jacob, as you know. We start with negatives. We end on positives. Negatives. There's not a ton of them, honestly. But I think the negatives, tying this in with my Poku starting over Baze comment. Baze does not look good, Jacob. Yet again. I mean, just some boneheaded decisions. The inability to be able to create for others. I mean, granted, he did have like maybe 2 plays that I counted, I think, there in the second quarter that were better, at least in his first preseason game. But I'm really curious. I mean, you've been leading this charge for the past year now, and you've been spot on. I'm curious your thoughts on Baze, and then we can kind of turn this into a positive in a way when we talk about Poku and him potentially getting that starting position over Bazley.
Yeah, so Bazley played actually 1 minute more than Poku tonight. 19 minutes, 3 of 6 from the field, 8 points. 0 of 1 from the 3-point line, 6 rebounds, an assist, a block, 2 turnovers. End the game as a -5. I think you can boil it down to this. Bazley has a very poor feel for the game. That's just where we're at. It is what it is. He frequently on offense tries to do too much, which I think is interpreting the game wrong. He makes bad passes, which is interpreting the game wrong. He takes bad shots, which is interpreting the game wrong. I think you watch. I mean, he was better tonight, 3 of 6. Like I thought Monday night he was horrific. You look at him tonight. Like tonight was okay, still wasn't good. And I think especially when you look at it in comparison to Poku, specifically that third quarter of Poku, there was a handful of plays in that third quarter, offensively and defensively by Poku, that I was just like, Baze doesn't do this.
Exactly.
He can't do this. Like he physically, this sounds bad, but like mentally, like he cannot process the game at the rate that Poku is. Just some really clean stuff from Aleksej Pokusevski that really popped to me and was the example of what Mark Daignault talked about. Bazley just doesn't have it, man. That they've been playing him as like the bench 5. He's going to play that role. I don't think he's finishing the season in Oklahoma City.
I am very much with you. Maybe we'll save that does he finish or does he not finish in OKC for our bets podcast this Sunday, Jacob, because I think that's a really good one that I assume you probably will have on your list. However, I think you kind of summarized that perfectly. There was that period in the third quarter where Poku didn't look great early. I think he fumbled a pass, did something else, etc., etc. However, then he has this great stretch where he finds JRE for a lob dunk in the half court.
Yeah. Hey, before you move on to the next play, I want to talk about that one for a second.
Okay.
That play was Josh Giddey comes off a screen. I think going right.
Right.
He's on the right wing. He attacks into the paint. The defense collapses on him. He reads that collapse 2 steps before it happens and throws this righty bullet pass to the left wing to Poku. Poku catches it at the 3-point line. The guy is closing out on him. He puts the ball on the ground, takes one dribble, attacking a closeout, a blow-by dribble, one dribble, picks it up, and in one fluid motion, tosses an alley-oop on the backside to JRE, who is open because the defense is rotating.
Ball.
Yeah. And that is that connector stuff that Daignault was talking about. They don't want Poku having the ball, initiating a pick and roll, doing some crazy Poku shit. But if he can catch a pass off a Josh or a Shea drive and have the defense rotating and take one dribble and make the next read, that is where he can be incredibly effective. He did it on that play. There was a fast break, I think maybe in the first half, where he was running, caught the ball at the 3-point line. I don't even think he took a dribble. I think he head faked and then tossed a lob on the backside to Lindy Waters, who didn't convert but got fouled. It's those things, those quick decisions after the ball gets swung to him that other guys on this team, specifically Darius Bazley, cannot make. That's the connector stuff that Coach Daignault was talking about that I think is going to make this offense just hum that much better this year.
Which is so encouraging to see because we talked about this being a pivotal season upcoming for both Darius Bazley and Poku, and to see Poku already kind of making that kind of leap. Now, Jacob, hopefully he won't be a connector in regards to, he was compared with Daignault in regards to Draymond Green. Hopefully he's not connecting fists to faces like Draymond Green, as we learned tonight. Yeah. But nonetheless, I think you're spot on there. I'm really glad you brought that up. And again, later on in the third quarter, not very long after, he finishes a double clutch layup in transition from a pass from Giddey. So all that being said, I think Poku has to be a positive, but
3 of 6 from the field, 2
we're
of 5
still
from
on negatives. We spent that we spent that. No. That's kind of my point. We spent that into a positive because of, it's unfortunate for Bazley. Hopefully he can carve out his role as a backup center, but we will see. Now, negative for a sake of...
I'm just hoping his trade value is decent enough to at least get an unprotected second.
I was thinking about that as well. It doesn't seem great. We'll probably talk about that in a Sunday podcast. I'm with you. Thunder shot only 18% from 3, but we aren't going to even dive into that because
negative.
The OKC Blue, basically, we're in playing in the fourth quarter.
Does it worry you at all that the 3-point shooting tonight was bad, but J-Dub has not shot the 3 well at all in the first 2 preseason games?
Maybe a tad. Again, only because his
too small of a sample size.
Yes, but I think you bring up a good point because his catch and shoot percentage from 3, although it was fantastic, it was something ridiculous. This is off the top of my head. It's 48% or something ridiculous from 3 as a catch and shoot 3 in college, but it was on a very limited sample size. So maybe we're seeing
he's ball handling right now. He's not catching and shooting really.
Exactly.
Pair him with Shea and Josh. I think it changes.
And also, here's the thing: that 18% from 3. It's because they didn't take a whole lot of them because they're pushing the ball in transition. And I've said this, Jacob. Hopefully you can back me up on this. I tweeted about it. I've said it on the podcast for the past 2 years now. The first quote-unquote rebuild year, this team is in their best when they're pushing the ball in transition. Which kind of leads, actually, for the first time ever, I maybe have some neutrals. And I just kind of want your thoughts on these. Like I said, David Nwaba is getting legitimate minutes again, while the other players in the Houston trade, Marquise Chris, Trey Burke, They've yet to report. What are your thoughts on Nwaba? Is that a Baze replacement? We talked about Baisley. So locker room veteran presence for that last roster spot. What are your thoughts on Nwaba?
Do you want honesty?
Yeah.
I don't care.
Yeah. I don't either.
I have zero interest. Like, he seems like a fine guy. Maybe he is a bit of a locker room leadership guy. Doesn't matter to me. Play the young guys, get him experience, get these guys some burn. If he's really bad, play him to lose and get Victor at the end of the year, because holy goddamn shit, that was insane what we watched in ESPN2 last night. We're not going to dive into that on this episode, but holy cannoli. So, but I have zero interest in David Nwaba. He is in no way, shape, or form long-term plans of this team. Keep him for the 15th guy. Don't keep him for the 15th guy. I don't really care.
I'm with you there. With you there completely. I find it interesting.
David, if you listen to this podcast, no offense, I'm sure you're a great guy. I'm not interested in watching you play basketball in the Thunder.
That 15th spot, good for you.
Cash that check, buddy.
I'm with you. I find it interesting. I'm curious what the plan is there, so I bring it up. Trey Mann had 8 points in limited minutes, which is great. Again, didn't really get a ton of playing time, because hopefully he'll get playing time tomorrow, and where Jacob, our very own Jacob, will be live. So hopefully we see some Trey Mann there. Now, hopefully. Positives. Going to rapid fire through the 3 that I have. You can break down your favorite.
Okay.
Josh Giddey, 13 points, 6 of 10 from the field, 2 rebounds, 3 assists. My favorite stat, probably. Not to lead you a certain direction, Jacob, but 4 steals, all in 16 minutes. Again, limited playing time because it's the second night of a back-to-back. We'll probably see him a lot against his former team and the Adelaide 36ers tomorrow night. But man, Giddey looked aggressive. He looked amazing in very limited minutes. We had Poku, like we've already talked about Poku. We don't need to break him down, but 8 points, 2 of 5 from 3. 2 assists. Again, played that quote-unquote connector role that they don't talked about. And my other one here, got to mention J-Dub. Even though he was less efficient than he was in that first preseason game, 10 points. I thought he played some more really good defense. And then finally, OUSMANE Dieng, I thought had a really, really good game. Got me to the point where I even tweeted out, like, maybe we're too excited about J-Dub and not excited enough about OUSMANE Dieng. So, Jacob, Giddey, OUSMANE Dieng, J-Dub, Poku, go for it.
Giddey looked incredibly aggressive. You love to see it. Attacked the basket relentlessly, got to the rim, finished very efficiently when he was there. That was awesome. You mentioned the 4 steals. We talked about defense at the top, Tayler. The defense swarms. There are 2 plays specifically, individually, defensively, that jump out to me tonight. Both came in the third quarter. One was Mavericks run a side pick and roll with Poku in it. And when Poku's man screened, he kind of dropped and he got in this low stance, and he kind of played this middle ground where he wasn't playing hedge defense, but he wasn't playing drop defense. He was kind of in that middle in case
the safety. That's what I thought.
The ball handler, the guard, wanted a pull up or a layup. Poku is in position to pounce and contest it. But if they threw a lob, he was also in position to back up and like get up and contest that, and really played that middle ground beautifully until Kenrich Williams got back to the ball handler, and then Poku rotated back. Very textbook pick and roll defense I loved. And then the other individual defensive performance comes with J-Dub, 6'7", 7'2" wingspan. There was a possession where he got matched up in transition on Christian Wood. It's much larger than him. Christian Wood gave him a head fake at the 3-point line. J-Dub stayed down, got up, contested it, had these choppy steps on the closeout. And then Christian Wood tried to go left. J-Dub slid with his body, made contact with his chest, didn't let Christian Wood get the corner, walled him up defensively and forced a kick out. I think the kick out led to a 3-pointer. But the initial defense, absolutely beautiful. This team, their size and their length has been really impressive defensively to me. And so I'm kind of taking these guys that you were talking about and putting them in the context of defense, which leads to the last one. And I want you to jump in on this as well. I said it Monday night. I tweeted it from the uncontested account Monday night, tweeted it from my own account tonight, mentioned it in the uncontested Slack tonight.
And I think I tweeted about it tonight, and I know exactly where you're going. You're
Ousmane
Dieng's defense, right?
Yeah, his
both
defense
ends of the floor,
and
specifically his defense.
His fluidity. This man, like, typically 6'11" guys move like very kind of upright. They don't have like a lot of wiggle, a lot of bend. Just the way this guy moves, he moves like Kevin Durant. He doesn't play like Kevin Durant, but the way that big long frame moves looks like what you would expect somebody like a Shai Gilgeous-Alexander or a Trey Mann to move. It's just, he's so graceful and fluid and dexterous. It's really impressive. He splashed a 3 as his first shot of the game. Really pretty. He had a nice like breakaway little Euro layup. Still needs to work on the physicality offensively.
I tweeted that out.
But defensively, just kind of swallows dudes up. He is very cerebral defensively. Even when his man doesn't have the ball, he's cheating over. He's closing out. He's digging and getting back. Whenever his man does have the ball, he's got this massive wingspan to contain. We talked a lot about G League minutes for Ousmane. This might be a hot take 2 games into preseason. Bazley hasn't been good, and maybe you just trade him. That way you have more minutes to play Ous.
Love it. Love it. You maybe heard me chuckle there earlier on when you were giving that breakdown, and that's only because I laughed because I had a very similar thought. You mentioned the Kevin Durant. Like, we aren't going to call it a comp, but just, kind of what you mentioned. It reminded me of, again, this is the earliest I've done and the most in-depth I've gone on 2023, upcoming NBA draft prospects, right? I have a pretty good feel for probably like the top 15 players, I would say. And that's very unlike me. And so obviously I watched last night Victor Wembanyama. Thought he had a ton of almost eerily like some plays that remind me of Kevin Durant in terms of like that crossover, moving at that size. But you're right. You said that about Ousmane. He is not Victor Wembanyama. I am not saying that at all. But him being able to move at that size is what reminds me of what I watched last night with Wembanyama. I think you're on something there on both the defensive end of the floor and the offensive end of the floor. Again, we're going to have plenty of time to dive into that.
Defensively, he's earning himself some minutes.
Agreed.
Diggs,
and I think
Diggs only wants to play you if you can hold up defensively. Ousmane is proving that he can do that already. And Tayler, the exciting thing is that kid is 18.
That's so crazy.
What if he grows a little bit more? What if he's 6'11", 220? What if we're talking about a 7 foot 230 kid? Like, holy crap. He's impressive. Like,
can handle the bar. They can't handle the ball. I mean, it's very,
according to John Hollinger, it's just a Perry Jones syndrome, though. So,
oh my gosh, yeah,
we're not going to dive into that.
I was going to say, don't get me started on that.
We don't got enough time.
There's a reason he doesn't have a GM job, and Sam Presti does.
Yes,
and I think there's probably the friction there.
Now, rookies, the first round rookies have really excited me preseason so far. I wonder
we'll have some bets, our upcoming bets podcast. I was really feeling good about this one, Jacob, and now after listening to you talk, I'm not sure anybody's even going to take the one that I have about Ousmane Dieng after
spice it up a little bit,
which is great. Yeah, that's right. I'll make it a little more spicy. Which leads me, Jacob, to my player of the game. Look, obviously, Josh Giddey looked incredible. 13 points, 2 rebounds, 3 assists, 6 of 10 from the floor. He only took 1 3, but again, this is all in 16 minutes. So that's why I was going to go ahead. Oh, sorry, I swiped over to Chelsea. Shout out Silva and Kami are my Chelsea friends, Chelsea Football Club. However, I was that's an obvious one, so I was going to go ahead and go with Ousmane Dieng. 8 points, 3 rebounds, 3 of 6 from the floor, 1 and 2 from 3. I'm with you.
Efficient. I love it.
Very efficient. I'm excited. Very excited about Ousmane Dieng. Now, we have a lot of questions here. We're about 30 minutes, which is about perfect. We have some questions here in the chat. We have some questions here from Twitter. Let's go ahead and go through the chat. I'll throw them at you, and I'll dive into some Twitter questions.
Cool. Let's just pick like maybe some of our favorite ones since we're running out of time.
Let's see. Justin's Jacob's new OnlyFans was pretty funny. Can't lie. So, what the hell? Coach D played Lindy as a ball handler. He's supposed to be a spot up shooter. That's from Kamel Lancian. I get it, but they're just
They're just putting guys in positions to see what they can do. Like, it's preseason. It doesn't matter. Lindy's not going to play point guard in the regular season. They're just giving these guys opportunities in different places to expand their game. Step out of your comfort zone a little bit. That's what preseason is all about.
Exactly, which was great to see. I kind of like seeing it. So this is probably going to be one for me, Justin Perryman. What's your favorite beer from Prairie? I'm personally a Vape Tricks or Blueberry Boyfriend guy. I've had Vape Tricks, but I'm not really like a sour beer guy. But they have the chalk beer, which you cannot find hardly like anywhere, which is a really, really good kind of like wheat beer. But they also have a club special there, which is kind of a bit of like a sour beer. It's really, really good, Justin. I'd have to go probably with those two, but come out. They always have specials, so they'll have some specials on tap for when we do our watch party. So
it's $1 off all full pours.
Yeah, that's right.
All night long.
Also, they have some really cool sodas and stuff too as well. We remember that from last time. They were all really good. So
and Hot Chopsticks is going to have wings and fries special for $10 a piece. It's going to be awesome. They are super excited to partner with us. Come hang out with us October 22nd, folks.
Love it. Love it. Did you notice how much Trey Mann tried to get Baze's focus on game? He's a leader. I'm going to be really honest. I didn't see a lot of that, mainly because I was kind of going back and forth between notes, Twitter, etc. But that is great to see. I think Trey Mann is taking a leadership role both on and off the court. So to see him kind of encouraging his teammates, especially Bazley, I think that's good to see.
Definitely. Last one on YouTube. Eamon just says, if we beat the 36ers tomorrow, does that make us better than the Suns? I say yes, it does. They're better than the Suns.
And they should go ahead and just trade us Devin Booker for, what was it? Let's see. For OUSMANE Dieng and 2 lightly protected first, right? That's how this works.
Yep. Tayler, I'm going to shoot you some of the Twitter questions before we get out of here.
Because I was looking for him.
So Luke Millette 97 says, does it seem like they're going to use J-Dub as the primary on-ball guard for the bench? I know SGA and Dort are out, and that could potentially contribute to him playing in that role now, but it's looking more and more that it might be a primary role for him in the season. Thoughts? This one's an interesting one to me as well. Is J-Dub playing that bench ball handler role out of necessity because no Shea and Dort, or is this what they want him to do?
So I think our follower here nailed it when he or she mentioned, Shea and Lou both being out, which leads me to what I've kind of been seeing with these lineups. I think we're going to see like 2 primary, quote unquote, ball handlers at all times, right? We're going to see Shea and Giddey. We're going to see Lou and Trey. We're going to see Trey and Giddey. We're going to see Trey and J-Dub. We're going to see J-Dub and Shea. I think we're going to see that rotation there, which I'm really excited about because I think that kind of leads to the positionless versatility that Sam's been preaching and Dave Dalton's been preaching over and over. So that's kind of my thoughts there. I know it's not a specific answer, but I think that's kind of the point of this whole entire team is we're going to see this versatility, these multiple ball handlers on the floor at all times. I do not think J-Dub is going to be the primary point guard, quote unquote, or ball handler in the second unit because I think there's always going to be another ball handler with him at all times, especially when these other guys come back healthy. Trey Mann sauce back to that second unit.
I like that. The other one from @Longboy Shea says, do you think Nwaba stays on the team?
I'm very, very curious now that we're seeing him. I don't know, maybe I'm prisoner of the moment. I kind of think he does, but I'm not sure why. It's just my honest answer. I really am not sure why. Yeah.
It's interesting.
What do you think, Jacob, really quick?
I think maybe he'll stay. I don't know. Again, I don't
it's
really
weird.
care.
It's weird. Yeah, I know. And I just
maybe
I'd rather have that.
Cut Bazley.
Yeah. I wonder.
Cut Bazley.
I've wondered that.
They're not gonna cut Bazley, but I can hope.
One can hope.
All right, Tayler. Anything else before we bump this outro music and get out of here?
I really don't think so.
I think we covered this one.
Listed.
I think it's good. And besides, we got another one coming up in 24 hours.
Oh, gosh. Yeah, that's right. We have a back-to-back. Hey, speaking of that, Jacob, I believe, it's off the top of my head from Sunday, but our own OKC tracker, Justin, is going to have you all covered for that. But not only that, the guy right next to me on the screen, Jacob Niffen, will be there live. So, we'll have some pictures. Apparently, Daigneault is, Thunder may be taking, but Daigneault is not, because he is going to keep these starters close to the vest every single game. It's our own Jacob Niffen.
A little ridiculous. I'll have the starting lineup for you. Stay here.
Jacob will have it. Yeah, that's right. For any others do. So thank you all again for tuning in to the Uncontested post-game podcast edition. We're super excited to be picking this all back up again. Be sure to go and leave us a 5-star review. We'll send you either a hat or sticker, depending on availability. Be sure to join us at Prairie on October 22nd. Thank you again for tuning in. Tune in tomorrow night. We'll have you guys covered for that as well. And as always, and until next time, Thunder up.